Hello, fellow Araxians. My name is Commander Sirius. Today, I want to talk about all the great things skilled players bring to the game. You know, over the years, I've come to the aid of many outfits or players that might be considered part of the zerg or maybe low skilled. Call it white knighting or call it having your bros back. To me, what I saw happening is that these outfits, these people that have given me such great content for more than 8 years, were steadily over time getting a really bad rap. On my server, that could be outfits like the 666 Devil Dogs, the Wild Cards, or EXE. You might recognize names like Sokar's Legion, or Angels of Death, or Voodoo Company. While a lot of people can only think about the times they met them in battle and it wasn't a very fun, fair fight, I can think of the opening year cruising across the plains of Indar and having 200 versus 200 armor clashes, and a lot of the tags that were popping up were from these outfits that people had, for no good reason, come to despise. Now, on the other side of that coin are smaller, high-skilled outfits. Outfits that have so many talented players that even seeing one or two of that outfit's tags pop up in a fight instills fear in a planet men or planet women's heart. Now, many a planet person holds these people in high regard and can respect the skill. But at the same time, I have walked into many a situation where people truly despise these players. You may have showed up in one of these situations yourself, probably in an open platoon, where some person is going on and on about insert skilled outfits tag here. These guys are a bunch of hackers and cheaters. Why hasn't Daybreak Games done anything about it? And me being me, I can't keep my mouth shut about it. I tell them they're wrong and ignorant straight to their face, and I end up getting banned from the platoon. So I want to talk in 3 areas surrounding this topic. First, why it's so bad to despise them and talk poorly of them. Second, all the great things they bring to the game. And third, sort of an open discussion on how in an open world game, high-skilled and low-skilled can figure out a way to play together and still have fun. So first, why is it so bad for the game to sit there and badmouth these players? I've heard it in private discords. I've heard it in public open platoons. I think most people that are spewing this stuff think it is mostly harmless. It's sort of part of venting. And the reality is they can say whatever they want and it's not going to affect anything. The problem is that mentality really does spread. If there is one person that's in an open platoon with 48 people, and they're going on and on and on about how this insert skilled outfit tag here is a bunch of cheaters and hackers, what's going to happen is there is probably a body of newer, lower skilled, and under Planetside 2 educated players that are sitting in that platoon. And they are in the throes of the very difficult, very frustrating new player experience of Planetside. And they can't understand why they're so good at Overwatch or Call of Duty. And they showed up in this game, and it seems like every corner they turn, they're bumping into some heavy assault that has a shiny helmet, shiny armor, and a shiny weapon that they don't have yet. And they die remarkably fast to this person. So they're having this frustrating experience, and then they show up in this platoon, and some guy that happens to have a little eagle next to his name, we don't know what that is, but he must be a very high level, is spouting on about these accusations and lag switches and all these other reasons that have nothing to do with the player. They're going to be like, oh, I get it. This game has a hacker problem. It all makes sense now. It is a very easy, comfortable out. They don't have to think about the fact that they were probably playing bronze tier Call of Duty where they got their kills. They don't have to figure out their sensitivities or their performance or their aim. They've got the answer from a veteran player right there. And the problem is it's usually that one really talkative, extroverted guy that goes off on this. And so other players that may be able to correct him don't want to, don't care to. They're just farming, they don't want to speak up. And still further, some people might, but they're too intimidated or they don't want to get kicked out of the platoon, etc., etc. But if no one is willing to put an end to this misinformation, you run into some real problems. In fact, Planetside 2 for a while there was considered rampant with cheaters. Up until BattleEye was installed, that was one of the largest complaints of the game. And even after that, we were going through a situation where a few people were modifying their head hitbox files. And people were absolutely convinced that every good player out there had done this secretly, and they just made it years skirting under the radar. And we got some details from Prompt Critical, I think he was a database admin, I'm not sure his exact role, that in a month period after a video tutorial was posted on it, 6 people had used this hack. There's Planetside 2 that has over 100,000 unique users log in over the course of the month. 6 people used it. That's frickin' nobody. PUBG has to ban people by the millions. And here we have people spouting off on Reddit that Planetside 2 has a hacker problem? Not even close. This idea is proliferated from people being willing to point fingers to accusate hundreds of legit skilled players out there. And so you think it may be harmless. You may think you're just venting, and I understand the need to vent. I don't want to take that away from you. But I would redirect it towards, gosh dang it, that guy's such a darn good shot, it's frustrating to play with him. Rather than the whole cocksucker, cheater, lagger, lag switcher, Asian accusation thing. So here I want to try to reset your perspective on a skilled player versus a hacker. I'm not saying there's never been an under-the-radar hacker, but they are so few and so far between, it's not even worth considering. 99% of the hackers are dumb and blatant, and they get banned within 4 days. But this is what a hacker looks like.
Double kill, triple, quadruple, quintuple, homicide, rampage.
Oh, that's sad. But impressive. Maybe they worked at the phone company.
Serial killer.
Hello, imbecile.
Godlike.
Quick note, guys, you're hearing GLaDOS pop off because what I do when I'm trying to track a hacker is I plug their name into recursion. They usually bounce across the map to different factions to the big fights, so I know what fight they are probably at based on what faction they're killing. And you can also hear just how much damage they are doing even though he's shooting through a wall. He's got the movement going, the no-clip going, the headshot tracking going, damage modification. If it is not as blatant as this, it's not a hacker. Yes, there's a minor exception to that rule, but for your own growth as a Planetside 2 player, you should never try to make that call, because it's probably just a good player. And also, guys, a hacker is not to be confused with an exploiter. These are people that have not modified the game in any way, but have figured out how to get somewhere that you're not supposed to go, and are using it to kill enemies. So guys, I cannot stress enough how negative it is for the game as a whole, for Planetside 2, if you are going to paint skilled players you died to as hackers. If you do it inside your head only, it's going to create a mental block thinking you cannot get better yourself. If you do it out loud and publicly, it's going to set a bad influence for newer members that are playing around you, especially if you're in some sort of leadership position for your outfit. And while you think all of that is relatively contained to your squad or your one open platoon, it seeps out into Reddit, into all these other games. Someone brings up Planetside 2 in some far corner of the internet, and some other guy says, oh yeah, that thing's full of hackers. When really it's just playing against good players. Also remember that skilled players use a lot of ults. Sometimes they delete characters just for fun and start over. So battle rank has absolutely zero correlation to how veteran a Planetside 2 player may be. If you are trying to analyze a player that killed you, always look at their directive score if you are trying to make a determination as to whether they are a brand new player or not. That's still not a perfect solution because a lot of players use multiple accounts to have more character slots, and directive score is account-based, but it can help in a pinch sometimes. So guys, I want to chat about some of the great things that skilled players bring to the game. First of all, just good old dollars. You see a lot of these groups that have a lot of shiny armors running among them. They've got a very maxed out weapon arsenal. If you hop into these groups, you'll notice almost all of them are running membership boosts. A lot of these people are not just high skilled, they are very veteran, long-term players of the game. And their very long-term financial support is part of the reason this game's still kicking. And by no means are they the only ones paying into the pot, but it's not like they're a bunch of farming freeloaders. Most of these people love the game dearly, they want it to survive and thrive, and they talk with their wallets. Next, they move the map. A lot of these outfits are always running Galaxies or Valks, or they're willing to start fights at difficult bases. What can happen when two big leaderless forces just kind of gridlock on one lattice is you can have a very stale fight, and that can be fun. You can get some good back and forth, but sometimes it sort of grinds to a halt where no one's really moving, shifting. A lot of these high-skilled outfits are the ones to initiate going over the top, doing a back cap, splitting off to another lattice, starting a fight somewhere else. And these activities can make for interesting things to happen on the map rather than being stuck at TI alloys endlessly. A challenge. I realize sometimes it's a frustrating challenge. It can be almost overwhelming. But at the same time, how many times have I heard someone say, "Oh yeah, I killed so-and-so." It's like they got the hard mode boss or whatever. These players represent a chance to elevate yourself, to try to step above where you are, punch above your weight class, and rise to a challenge. And I think without that, this game would get stale. And finally, we need to have a range of playstyles available for everyone that comes into this game. Some people are only going to be able to play casually with a sporadic schedule, and they're going to want an outfit that basically has an open platoon running 24/7, 365. It doesn't need to be something super sweaty, it just needs to be something that's there and available, so when they hop in, they feel like they have a few people that have their back to run with. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people that come to this game that will not be satisfied with that. And if that's all it offers, they will leave. They are going to want to find a group of friends they can run with that when someone else is assigned to that door, they can trust that that door will be covered until insurmountable odds attack it. You'll notice on my streams that when I'm running and leading and say we're doing a building hold, I bounce around a lot. I'm at fat stairs. I'm at balcony. I'm at short stairs. I'm up in server room. And that is because I run open platoons, and while I really enjoy it, I don't know the people I'm running with well enough to trust them, to trust that they have that door covered. Naturally, for a lot of people that want to accelerate their game to the highest level, they want to be in that group where they know everyone there is as good or better than them. So it is very important for player retention in Planetside 2 that we have this wide range of outfits available so that people can come in and find what fits with them. And finally, they're great teachers. I guarantee that if there's anyone you are out there dying to, repeatedly, constantly, if you put a tell into them, they will be willing to help you. A lot of them will probably just direct you to resources, because that's a good place to start, which you may have already seen. But if you wanted to follow them around and see how they think, how they maneuver, what they do, shoot them a ping. They would probably happily invite you to their squad if you made a character on their faction. Skilled players out there are a resource you can use to get better yourself. So guys, finally, how do we all learn to play together? That's the toughest part of it. Almost every other game out there has some sort of skill-based matchmaking. It's funny, when these battle royales started rolling it out, everyone rallied against it because there were a lot of players that were all of a sudden playing in matches with more appropriately matched opponents, and it became a lot harder for them. But no matter how much these people whined and complained, these systems did not go away because overall it improved the experience for the majority of players in those games. Planetside will never be able to do that. We're always going to be stuck in a scenario where everyone has to play together because the matches are so huge. And not hate the low-skilled zerg, or not hate the skill ball. So let me explain to you the way I do it, the way I envision it when I'm out there doing battle, because I run in both groups. Sometimes I'm in a skill ball, sometimes I'm in just a very general open platoon. I sort of equate some of the battles you run into like a boss fight in World of Warcraft. If you are in a small group and you are having to fend off hordes, sometimes 2 to 3 times your size, it's similar to me like the Battle of Mount Hyjal, where you have a lot of combatants that aren't necessarily very difficult to overcome, but the sheer amount of them is what creates the challenge. On the other side of the coin, if you're facing a situation where you're trying to breach a room, and it seems like every guy in there is a perfect shot, and they seem to just have an extra layer of overshield that you can't get through. And when you almost have them down, they dance away with a few medkits and then seem to be ready to go again. I imagine these types of fights closer to the Chamber of Command battle in Black Temple, where you're managing a small amount of combatants, but they're all very powerful. You need to time your pushes in a way that you can overwhelm any one of them to gain entrance to that area. So the challenge becomes finding a way to create and exploit a chink in the almost impenetrable armor. So, fellow Planetmans, when you're facing off against some of the most skilled denizens on Araxis, while yes, it can be frustrating, I hope you can pause for a second and just appreciate how much work that player has put in and how far they've come to train themselves, hone themselves into that much of a killing machine. If they do get you, shake it off, get back up again, don't get frustrated by it, and when you're able to take them down, celebrate that victory. Great job on you. And make sure you maintain a mentality of constant improvement. That's going to be all for now, fellow Araxians. Happy hunting out there. And until next time, I will see you Planetside.